We are live, Unchained TV, talking to the movers and shakers in our movement who are helping animals break out of this systematized torture happening on a massive scale. We are here at the AVA Summit, that stands for Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit in the DC area. And I am talking to one of my heroes, Robbie Lockie of Plant-Based News. This man is a genius. I keep saying I'll have what he's having, but I can't find that menu. So tell me, Robbie, you with Plant-Based News cover so many aspects of this movement. Where are we, and how important is a summit like this?
I think this summit is important, and events that bring people together are so essential because, I don't know if anyone who's listening has felt this way, but the global pandemic has definitely fractured some of the foundations of community across the world. People used to gather a lot more frequently together, spend a lot more time together face to face. And now most of our interactions, people are saying like 80% of our communications now are nonverbal via technology. And I think that bringing people together and, encouraging community and sort of refueling community is an essential part. I myself met our co-founder, Klaus Mitchell, who we run Plant-Based News together. We met at a
Klaus
vegan
Velez
event.
Mitchell?
Klaus Velez Mitchell, yes. We met at a vegan event just like this,
yes,
7 years ago.
Wow.
And we became good friends. He actually helped me move into my home. I didn't know this guy at all. He just was really kind. And we made such a great friendship. And we built, one of the biggest, most far-reaching vegan media platforms in the world in 7 years. And it's I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to be also collaborating with them. You are a media partner, and we've got a lot of your great videos on our Unchained TV channel. And I want to give you one of our Unchained TV hats.
Amazing.
We are giving these hats away here at the AVA Summit Conference at the Alexandria Center to everyone who speaks to Unchained TV as we go live. And we're broadcasting this on Facebook, as well as YouTube, as well as Twitter, as well as our streaming network, Unchained TV, as well as our homepage, UnchainedTV.com. So I'd like you to wear that hat. And I just want to say that we have been hearing incredible speeches. Today, Dr. Melanie Joy gave a talk, which was really amazing. And she talked about basically intelligent and compassionate communication. There is a lot of infighting in the vegan community, and I try to stay out of it. In fact, on our website, we have a code of conduct. And I say, if you have a problem with somebody, call the police or call a lawyer, leave us out of it. The exception is if there's an animal in danger, or it's never happened, but a human in danger. But basically, I don't want to encourage infighting. It's like, you do your thing. If you don't like how somebody's doing it, then do something else, but don't tear down the first person. That's my theory.
I agree.
And she said that it's because a lot of us are basically suffering from, she said it's similar to PTSD. It's secondary trauma syndrome. We've looked at so many of these videos. We're so traumatized by these horrific videos of animal suffering that we're like, do something. And then somebody does something, you don't think it's enough. You go, you didn't do it right. So what do you think of that?
People are caught in a fight or flight state, I think. And so where a lot of vegans are carrying around, as Melanie said, this very heavy weight of trauma. And so I think a lot of people are also very reactionary as well. So you're finding a lot of fighting and conflict and anger. People don't know where to place their anger. They don't know where to put it because they haven't got the skills or the training or the means to be able to take on what they feel like is a bit of a monster in our society, which is this animal agricultural system that causes so much suffering. So I think, again, bringing it back to why we're here, and AVA, the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit, whether you are here personally or whether you're going to learn from some of the materials, the free materials that are going to go out there, it's all about inspiring others and also taking time yourself to learn new skills and develop your abilities in vegan advocacy, but also effective communication as well, because it's not about just building websites or going live on social. It's about those one-to-one interactions that we're having with people on a daily basis, whether it's in the comments or the DMs or via email or in the street. It's always important to lead from a place of compassion if we want to open hearts and minds.
Well, we've got somebody from the Humane League who's standing by to talk to us, but I want to ask you, where are we as a movement? It's been, 4 years since I've seen you? We used to meet every year, and he'd interview me, I'd interview him. It was this fun thing that we always did, and now we're back. But it's been 4 years, and you're right, we haven't been interacting as normal as we would.
Right.
So where are we as a movement?
I think as a movement, we've definitely been hit by the pandemic. I think it's slowed down a lot of the elements of the movement itself. But when we look at industry, though, we look at like the plant-based innovation space. There has never been more products and services, and of course vegans as well. I think it's becoming easier and more accessible for people to adopt a plant-based diet, or at least consider switching to a plant-based diet. In the UK alone, where I come from, there are 23 million flexitarians. So I know flexitarian is a dirty word in the vegan community, but these are people who are actively reducing their meat consumption for ethical reasons or environmental reasons. I myself, when I first started, I didn't go cold tofu. It took me a while to remove animal products from my diet. And if you told me that 10 years ago that I'd be a full-time vegan advocate, I would have laughed in your face. I would never have believed that this would be my job and my career and my passion. But because of events like this, it filled me with inspiration that we can be part of a community that can change the world for good by just changing what's on our plate.
Wow. Robbie Lucky, Plant-Based News. You are my hero. I love you, dear friend. And I know that you were invited to stay with me in LA. You couldn't make it, but you always have an open invitation.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll let
love
you.
You. All right. We're going to go to Jennifer Barkley. Jennifer Barkley. And then we've got Naja Wright Brown standing by in the wings. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, my dear. Pop on the hot seat. We are so excited to be here with Jennifer Barkley of the Humane League, which I have to say, first of all, and we're going to scooch closer so we're both, especially in the camera there, you throw the best parties. I've been to some great Humane League parties.
We do like to dance.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So thank you for speaking up. Tell us what you hope and the Humane League hopes to accomplish here at the AVA Summit, the Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit.
Yeah, so first of all, it's so good to be here again, connecting in person as you were just talking about, to really build coalition, community, and to grow this movement together. As you were just saying, it feels like some things have stalled during the pandemic, but it also feels like we're in a more inclusive place than other. People now have more access because having gone virtual and now being in person as well, like there's just more access points to the movement. So we're here to connect in person, very exciting, but also virtually with you right now. And we are also here working on a major global campaign to get major hospitality companies like Norwegian Cruise Lines to follow through on their commitments to be cage-free, to actually free hens who lay eggs from the confines in which they are relegated to spend their lives. So that is a big focus for us right now. We also are excited to meet new potential volunteers and build our community, as you were just talking about.
Actually, it just brought me back to the last time we had a National Animal Rights Conference. I think it was about 4 years ago. And afterwards, the Humane League, I believe, was the one who organized a protest. And I was live at that protest. Yes.
I was there too.
And it was, again, about telling these companies to stop with the just mind-boggling cruelty that is unnecessary and that the American people don't want. The American people passed Prop 12, Californians, voters, homeowners, citizens, taxpayers, and they said, we don't want to have any animal products sold in this state that involve extreme confinement like pig gestation crates or battery cages. The Supreme Court is dealing with that right now. They heard arguments just a few days ago. So there's so much at stake right now. I think we're at a pivotal point, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
And what's, all these different groups, like it's so wonderful to have them all here. You've got PETA, you've got the Humane League, you've got DXE was right over here. You've got organizations that fight horse abuse and horse slaughter, which I'm totally involved in and excited about. But the Humane League has a very interesting focus. It's very youth oriented. Like I always feel a little old when I go to their parties. Doesn't stop me. What is the unique selling proposition of the Humane League, which is so cool?
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about inclusivity. So our mission is to end the abuse of animals raised for food. So I think wherever you are on your journey towards veganism and just loving animals, like you can fit in. There's a home for you to make a difference for the animals that you love and care about in the food system that you want to be reformed. So I think inclusivity is one part, and then building community, as you said.
Oh, wow.
We have incredible or regional organizers all around the country and in other countries as well, bringing people together and building community like we're experiencing here together this weekend.
I want to thank you. I know you're very busy setting up your booth. People are just coming in. This is exactly the start of this conference. Jennifer, thank you for taking the time.
Jane. Good to see you.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, I got a hat for you.
Oh, my
Everybody
goodness.
who talks to us gets an Unchained TV hat.
Everyone needs one of these. Thank you, Jane.
Okay, thanks. And now we've got Naja Wright Brown in the house. Absolutely fantastic. Naja Wright Brown, you're going to be kicking this off, right?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
How did that happen?
Yeah, I think you are a perfect person to kick it off. And first of all, I want to give you've been asking for an Unchained TV hat for a long time. And Naja Wright Brown does incredible work in so many ways for so many people. The Black Veg Society, the Land of Kush, which is an incredible vegan restaurant. Then you have your show on Unchained TV. So here you go. You've more than earned this one.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay. So tell us, you're going to be starting it off tonight, right?
Tonight.
Tonight. Tell us, I'm so excited. Tell us all about it.
Well, I'm here to inspire. That's what I've been. I got an email to inspire people. Find your true selves and your authentic selves, because it's going to be a long weekend. We have lots of talks and meetings, and I attended one this morning with Melanie Joy. It was wonderful. I already learned something this morning. So that's what we're here. We're here with the chosen ones, and we have a lot of work to do. So I'll be talking about that this evening.
Yeah. And so where are you with Land of Kush? Tell us about your restaurant. Where is it? And also tell us a little bit about the Black Veg Society.
Yeah, Land of Kush is award-winning. We've been open for 11 years. Stayed open even through the pandemic, which is a blessing. While a lot of restaurants had to close down and shutter, close their doors. Black Veg Society, hey, a little Facebook group that became a nonprofit, and we co-produced Vegan Soul Fest and the Maryland Vegan Restaurant Week, which is now Maryland Vegan Restaurant Month. And we're just out in the community, particularly targeting the BIPOC community, to meet them where they are on their journey, whatever that journey is. We hope it's veganism, but even if it's a step to plant-based eating, we're going to teach them how to do that. So definitely show your support. And Naja Speaks is a byproduct of that. Thanks to Jane Velez Mitchell for inspiring me. That's what it's about, inspiring. So najaspeaks.com to find out more about that, and to find your vegan soul, or tell your friend to check it out so they can find their vegan soul.
And I have to say that one of the things that we like to do is help people sort of rehearse for the big time. Now, Naja has been doing shows for a while, and I honestly think you were never bad, but you have gotten you are now ready for ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. How has that experience of having a live weekly show helped you?
Oh, it definitely helps a lot, because I've learned that you have to punch fear in the face and just press record, go live, and lose the tree. Remember that?
Oh yeah, she had a background.
Criticism.
She had this tree behind her that was growing out of her head, and it was very odd on camera. And I was like, Naja, I love you, but lose the tree, girl. Yeah, well, this we all learn. I've never looked at a video that we have done that I say is perfect. I'm my own worst critic, but it's really important that we help all, this is such a big movement. First of all, let me ask you about this conference. There are a lot of people coming here. This is incredible. This is an opportunity to see so many leaders and shakers in the vegan movement. What's that like?
Well, close to 700, I understand, from all over the world. We got Latin America, Europe, Asia, Africa. So it's very important to learn and share best practices about the movement, because there's not one right answer. We all have answers, and we need to get out there and do work, because we're still under 10%. in the population.
Tom
of
says
vegans.
you've made Baltimore a vegan capital.
Thank you, Tom. Tom is definitely a loyal viewer. Actually, I had to send him a box out one time because he always comments and he always watches and supports. So I appreciate you, Tom. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, just follow me at Naja Speaks and follow Black Veg Society at Black Veg Society. And, stay tuned to Unchained TV. Download the app.
She's going to have her own show on the app. We're getting ready for that. Naja, do me a favor, because you're a real part of Unchained TV. When you go out there, can you bring somebody else in?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because there's hundreds of people right now registering. Hundreds, but they're on the other side of the registration.
Okay, I'll bring someone in
Thank
for
you.
Thank
Come
you,
on
Jay.
in, darling. Excusez-moi. We are live. Hi. Sometimes you got to cough live. We are live right now at the AVA Summit at the Alexandria Hilton Mark Center right outside DC. Tell us who you are and tell us what your message is and what you're trying to accomplish.
We're right here with we're exhibiting with Track Free America. Along with the vegan movement is also a movement not to use animals in our wildlife market. And this is basically what Track Free America is trying to get out to the public, because so much is quiet. People just are not aware what is happening. These poor animals are getting trapped. Sometimes they're held in these steel jaw leg traps for up to a week.
Here. Yeah, scooch over here.
So they're held there for up to a week, and then they also take them and then they put them into what we call a pennings, where they place them into a large pen with hounds, and then the hounds tear them to pieces and they bet on them. This poor animal has just suffered tremendously, and now it gets torn up alive by hounds, and it's called penning. Thousands of penning operations are across the United States, operating in 19 states. In the states that don't have it, the trappers catch the fox and transport them for big bucks to penning operations, and nobody hardly knows what's going on. Well, it's
God bless
horrific.
you for God bless you. What's the name of your organization?
Track Free America.
Track Free America.
Website.
What's the website?
www.trackfreeamerica.org.
Trackfreeamerica.org. I want you to just pop that on. That's a hat for you. Try it on. All right, there we go. There we go. Unchained TV cap, trackfreeamerica.com. Help it out. And we've got a wonderful activist. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
I love your work. We've got another activist coming in who helps horses now. This is very close and near and dear to my heart. When I was a young kid, my dad was a very good horseback rider.
Yeah.
He served in World War II and was the captain of the polo team in his, whatever you want to call it, battalion. So I grew up having to ride. But now that I look back on all the cruelties, I'm horrified. We used to ride at a place called Claremont Stables in New York, where the horses are living in the basement, and the worst thing that's happening right now is, well, first the carriage horse strays continues in New York City, but also the Bureau of Land Management with their horrible roundups. Tell us who you are and scooch over a little bit and tell us who you are and what you're fighting for. What's the name of your organization?
Okay, I am with Save Our Wild Horses, at a grassroots organization of citizens that are trying to make a difference, because the public lands and these public horses, all our wild horses out west, they're our horses. And they are rounded up brutally, chased with helicopters for hours on end. And many of them die. We have, actually, I have some literature today. We just got back from some roundups, and this year's been accelerated, a new roundup. 22,000 wild horses have lost their freedom, and a lot of them have lost their lives. And they will go into different feedlots. But the saddest part is they're being removed to make room for special interests, cattle, sheep.
Mostly cattle, right?
So
people who are horse lovers, who are also eating animals, eating cattle, they're contributing to the problem by eating animals.
Yeah, and the really crazy thing is that they basically get to graze their cattle out there for free. They pay $1.35 a month for a cow and a calf, and then when they pull the horses off, they pay $2 a day to put them in a feedlot. And so it on no way does it make sense. And the cattle just destroy the land. Horses are being used all over the world to regenerate the land. And all these rewilding projects, Rewilding Europe, they're using horses as a keystone, and they are a keystone species. We now have mitochondrial DNA that prove horses evolved here. So they are a native species, but they're still classified as feral by many people and or invasive, and they're not. And we really need a whole new mindset when it comes to our public lands, that these lands are drying up and turning to dust bowls. We need to have native animals back there, and we're trying to we're looking for volunteers. We want to do adopt HMAs in different states. So people go out there and we help do range cleanups, because there's tons of garbage, because the ranchers leave all their garbage out there. And the horses need a place to live. And it's really, really a beautiful thing if you can get out there and see them wild, but you need to do it soon, because at this rate, we're not going to have any left.
Oh, it's horrific. And us, the taxpayers, are forced by our government to subsidize. Basically, it's another case of an agency of government being completely co-opted by an industry. So they're
right.
not supporting the taxpayers, who overwhelmingly support animals, love horses in particular. And yet they are rounding up these horses. The roundups use helicopters. You see video where the horses collapse. They're badly injured, killed, and it's just outrageous because there's no need for it. And then they have the audacity to say, well, we're doing this for the horses because they're starving. They're not starving.
No, they're not.
Okay?
Absolutely not.
That's something that's absolutely made up in order to justify what they're doing, which is clearing the land for cattle grazing. So that's another thing that is just particularly upsetting. What is the name of your organization?
I work with SavorWildHorses.net, and I also volunteer for WildHorseEducation.org, and they're the leading organization that actually litigate, and they actually fight. They were the ones that got some kind of handling policy in place, although a lot of times it's not done. But before, there was no rules at all, and now there are. And like I said, again, but then again, now there's rules. Now they try to keep us from being able to observe. So they're just one thing after another. But
is it getting worse?
Yes, it is actually getting worse.
It's getting worse. I mean, I've been fighting this for years and years and years. And there are people like that lady who's very well off and has a lot of territory. I forget her name, Madeline Pickens.
Yeah.
She's offered to take a lot of the animals in, and they won't even let her.
Yeah,
She's saying, like, give them to me. I remember this years ago anyway. Give them to me, and no. So
a perfect example is just recently, there was a roundup, and they have cremellos. They're like really cream colored horses, and they have blue eyes. They're beautiful, but they said they're likely to be blind, so they killed them all. Claire at Skydog Sanctuary offered to take all these horses, and they killed 11 of these horses. And they said because they're not albinos, they are actually cremello. It's a type of horse, and they did kill them. And she had offered to take them, and they said no, and they killed them.
I mean, this is our government, and it makes me outraged that my tax dollars are forced to be used for this when it's absolutely 100% unnecessary, and it's really contributing to climate change, because animal agriculture is a huge contributor to climate change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is it's a triple. Oh, we've got Mary Beth Olson in the house. We got another guest coming on who's absolutely fantastic. But this is a triple obscene betrayal, not just of the horses, of the American people who passed the Wild Horse and Burro Act, which is designed to protect these animals. And it's just the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, is basically declared war on America's horses. So anything you can do to save these horses.
Yes.
I love your work. I love your work.
We ask everybody, please call your congressmen and senators and tell them that you want real on-range management, not that they're now chemically sterilizing a lot of the horses and the ones that aren't being rounded up. And even just when they break up the families, wild horses live very much like elephants. They have multi-generations in one band. When they round them up, they shatter the families. They take some out and they put other ones back. They cherry pick the ones they put back because they're pretty or flashy. And that's not the way nature works. Nature has a process, and we need to leave it alone.
Well, you're my hero. I want to give you an Unchained TV hat, and I'd like you to try it on. Make sure it looks good. There we go. It looks great on you. I love it. Real good. There we go. Thank you, my dear.
Jane.
Carry on. Okay, we've got another guest coming in. If you could find somebody else who wants to come in, because they're all outside, hundreds registering. And sit down. Mary Beth Olson, we're going to get nice and close with both being in the shot.
Straight from the parking lot.
The amazing Mary Beth Olson I have worked with Mary Beth on so many stories. She is a public relations whiz for the animals, representing so many organizations and so many great stories that I've gotten for Unchained TV as a result of you.
Oh, you're the best.
Thank you. So tell us what you feel about, you're out there. We're here. We got to get, I'll give you a little background. We got a hard wire so we could go live at the conference because you know how it is with Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
So if we hadn't gotten this special wire, I don't have to show you, it's a wire, we wouldn't be live. But we have to be here where the plug goes in. But there's 400 people out there registering. So we're bringing them in. I'm asking everybody who speaks to go out and get somebody else and bring them in.
Okay.
Because I can't be in two places
I
at once.
know. And I haven't even registered. I just saw you.
Okay,
and went
scooch over. We
Here
got
we go.
to. Okay, so tell me, Mary Beth Olson, what groups are you working with? What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, so I am working with a lot of plant-based restaurants. That is part of what I do at MVO Media, which is my PR agency based in the DMV, meaning DC, Virginia, and Washington. But we also have clients in New York and people all over the nation. So plant-based restaurants, anything that is going to help animals, anything that's going to cause, contribute to helping the world. Also, I work with Tracy McQuarter and her 10 Million Black Vegan Women Project.
Oh, I love her.
They're phenomenal, guys. You have to check it out. 10millionblackveganwomen.org. She just finished up her 21-day Fresh Start meeting, which was amazing. Where I think 4,000 people signed up.
Woo!
I know, it's so great. So everything's great. You know, we got Plant Burger, we got DC Vegan.
Oh my God. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
When I lived on the East Coast
Yeah.
and I would go more often to DC, hardly any vegan options. I mean, I'm talking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was horrible because I'm like, this is where the politicians are. These are the people making the decisions. And there is no plant-based option that I can find. And now apparently it has changed entirely. Tell us about that because you live here in the DC area.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are so many more DC, DC vegetarian, vegan options, vegan for sure, of course. I know that there was a huge vegan movement that was in DC way back during the civil rights movement. A lot of people were pushing and eating this plant-based diet, and there's just been a reemergence, with everything that is there to offer. There's no reason why there can't be a ton of vegan restaurants. So there are just so many. And if you go to, what is it, Happy Cow?
Happy Cow, yeah.
Cow, you can find all the different vegan restaurants
Well,
in the area, and they're all awesome.
I want to say, I want you to have this beautiful Unchained TV hat. Try it on.
I will. What do you think?
Oh, that looks good on you. It really does. I want you to get this lady over here because
come on
we've got
over.
some really big. Thank you, Mary Beth
Thank you,
Olson.
love you.
Oh, yay!
Good to see you,
Okay,
Jane.
well
Okay.
done. Well done. Watch the cord.
I
Watch
got
the
it.
cord. Come on down.
Okay, I'll tell two people.
Okay. Wow. Look at this. This is very interesting. Now, okay, you're gonna see breaking news here because we in Los Angeles, which we're not in right now, but I live in Los Angeles. I think one of the biggest pieces of news this year in the animal rights world and the vegan world was the passage by the Los Angeles City Council of the Plant-Based Treaty. This was huge. We're here with Anita Krines, who is the founder of the SAVE movement and also of the creator of the Plant-Based Treaty. Thank you for speaking up. Maybe lean in a little bit and tell us how significant, what happened and how significant is it?
So we're thrilled that the LA Council members voted unanimously to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty, becoming the 20th city in the world to do that. And we're very grateful to Council member Paul Koretz. And LA is significant. It's like one of the largest cities in the world, and certainly in the US. And it's a trendsetter, as you said. It's an environmental trendsetter. And what this means is when a city endorses it, they're sending a signal that to national governments, to the Biden administration, to negotiate a global treaty. So the Plant-Based Treaty is a bottom-up pressure campaign, and we're trying to get 1 million people, 10,000 groups, 10,000 businesses, and 50 cities to endorse by next year to create this bottom-up pressure. And then next year, we're going to reset the targets. And the plant-based treaty has like 3 R's. Don't make the problem worse, relinquish. No new animal farms, no new slaughterhouses, no new deforestation for expanded animal agriculture. Then the R2 is redirect. So redirect policy towards plant-based solutions. So taxes, subsidies, public information campaigns, the whole slew of policy instruments. But that's up to the governments to negotiate that. And then the third R is restore, sort of heal the earth through reforestation of forests, mangroves, peatlands, and so forth. And we're thrilled that LA, it's the second city in the U.S. after Boynton Beach.
Second largest city, though, in America as well. It's the second largest city.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's extraordinary. Now, do you think that that's going to inspire New York maybe to become the next? Now, we know that Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, is, while maybe technically not vegan, he is plant-based. He's put, we got John Orberg. Maybe you could come in next after the amazing Anita Krines. Where just people are coming in literally by the hundreds. And we are here live for the start of this AVA Summit, Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit, and talking to people like you just heard. This is huge news. The city of Los Angeles, endorsing the plant-based treaty. Do you think New York City could be now in play?
I think so. I mean, Mayor Eric Adams is a member of C40 cities. And so we've also put out a call to all C40 cities. It's an organization people might not be familiar with, but it's a very important group. The UN World Food Summit recognized it as a partner, even though it's not a government, because cities are so powerful. So originally it was 40 cities. Now it's 100 cities in the world are committed to reducing food waste and meat consumption. And New York just signed on. LA is a member. Buenos Aires is a member. Toronto, where I'm from, is a member. And so Mayor Eric Adams is going to the summit for the C40 cities, which started yesterday, Wednesday, in Buenos Aires. It happens every 3 years. So it's a really big deal because C40 cities want to take a lead on addressing climate change. And I just want to recommend 2 books to you. It's really important books. One is by George Monbiot, spelled Monbiot. Don't pronounce the T. George Monbiot. He just wrote a book called Regenesis, and he's very famous in the UK, particularly. He writes for The Guardian, and he's well respected. He's a zoologist, but in his book, he makes the scientific case for ending animal farming right away this decade. He says it's we're facing a climate emergency. He talks about soil and water and ocean dead zones and the climate emergency. And I can't recommend the book highly enough. It's very poetic. So please, get a copy of George Monbiot's Regenesis. And then a second book that I think should be required reading for every Earthling.
Yes.
Who can read, like all the humans. And I think the book would be by James Hansen, called Storms of My Grandchildren.
Ooh.
And if you read this book, you'll appreciate the climate crisis. He was featured in Al Gore's film An Inconvenient Truth as ringing the alarm bells in 1988. He was one of the early people because he studied Venus. And do you know Venus used to have oceans billions of years ago?
Really?
And then the sun got brighter and brighter. The oceans evaporated. It is now 450 degrees Celsius, and lead would melt on Venus. So he studied it, and there was a Pioneer satellite going there, and he just left that and said, "Look, greenhouse gas emissions are rising on the Earth. I need to address that." So he's a very heroic person. He's originally from Iowa, and he was the head of Goddard Institute of Space Studies. But if you read this book, you will understand the nature and the scale of the climate emergency. And I can't recommend it highly enough. When I was reading it, I was having nightmares, but necessary nightmares, because we need to know this crisis in order to address it properly. So if you read these 2 books, they are game changers. Monbiot calls for the end of animal farming as soon as possible. James Hansen calls for the quick phase out of coal and a carbon tax at the source that goes up and up and up till we, move away from fossil fuels as soon as possible. So we need to address animal farming and fossil fuels. It's not one or the other.
No.
We are together with the environmentalists,
Of
and they
course.
should be together with us. We are all together.
I just love it. And Anita, you are my hero. I'm in awe of everything that you accomplish and your vision, that you had the vision to start the SAVE movement with the vigils that wake people up to what's really going on. And now you have the vision to do the plant-based treaty, which is so extraordinary. And we need every city to pass it. And I am proud as an Angelino that we got this passed this week,
Yes,
thanks
thank you.
to a
Thank
huge team,
Yeah.
team
Thanks
like
to Alan and
Cesar
Renee.
Acevedo, Ellen Dent, and all sorts of Renee Rowland, so many people. I don't want to insult anybody by leaving them out. It was a big team effort. But I would like to give you this Unchained TV hat. And
Thank you.
I want,
I'd
come on,
love to
check
wear
it out.
it.
Let's
I'd love
see.
to
Let's
wear
see
it.
how it
Yeah, we'll
looks.
be all
Let's see how it
black
looks.
today, all in
Oh,
black.
I like it. It's looking good
Yeah.
on you.
Thank
Thank you, my dear. Thank you for coming on. And everything you do is extraordinary. And I'll see you out there. And I appreciate you coming down. She's just been on a train for hours and she still came down to talk to us. John Oberg, come on over. We're so excited. These are people changing the world. We are so honored to have you. Thank you, my dear, for, everybody's busy. He just got his badge. Let's see the badge, because let me tell you,
Wrong side.
let me tell you, everybody's out there. There's hundreds of people out there getting their badges. But in a way, I'm glad that we're quiet here, because if we were out there, we wouldn't even be able to hear you.
This
So,
is true.
yeah, so we're here at the AVA Summit, Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit. Hundreds of animal rights leaders from around the world are gathering, and Unchained TV is going live, talking to these movers and shakers. John Oberg, definitely a mover and a shaker, sometimes both simultaneously, moving and shaking. And so tell us, what do you bring to the table? Because you really are an expert in social media. You're an expert in how to get the message out. Are we doing as much as we can? What do we need to do?
Well, just like you and the amazing people who are watching this right now, we care about animals, and I care about animals, and I want to get the world to become a vegan world, a world that is more compassionate for animals, where animals can live and survive and thrive, not suffer at the hands of humankind. And so what I do is I focus on using social media to create a better world for animals. And I do that by amplifying important content that raises awareness. It gets people to think about the ways in which we treat animals and the ways in which we as individuals, as consumers, can make a difference for animals. And that is through our food choices, through our behavior choices, and so on. And so it's it's a real pleasure to be here at the conference, talking to other activists, telling them how to use social media in a way that's going to maximize the good that they can do for animals. So I'm very, very excited to be here.
As a sign of this, while he was getting ready to come on, he commented on the live. Excited to create a vegan world alongside you, Jane, and happy to spend this weekend alongside you and 1,000 other activists strategizing on how to create a more compassionate planet. And there you are with your cute little is that a photo or is that
That's a photo,
painting?
yeah.
So yes, here's Tina Walker saying we must go vegan, wear vegan, eat vegan, invest in vegan, download Unchained TV. Thank you for that shout out. But of course, one of the reasons why we started Unchained TV, and this is broadcast not only on our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitter, as well as our app, is to try to get to people who are not yet vegan, not to be in that echo chamber. So how are we doing on that front?
That is so vital, because we can't get other vegans to be more vegan. We need the non-vegans out there to, adopt our lifestyle. We need non-vegans to go vegan, to really make veganism mainstream, because once it's mainstream, things are going to change even more rapidly than they already have been changing over the last few years. And so every time we interact with the general public, with non-vegans, we need to really remember that the way we interact with them is going to influence them, good or for bad. We need to focus on influencing them in ways in which it'll actually get them to change, to be vegan, to at least move further along that spectrum towards veganism, because every single person out there impacts thousands of animals over the course of their lifetime. And then when you think about the amount of people that they influence, it just snowballs, and it's just a massive, it can make a huge difference. So we need to get the non-vegans out there, whether on social media, on the streets, wherever they are. We need them to take our message seriously. And luckily, it's a message that we know they care about, because everybody loves animals.
Let me ask you this question. I've been thinking about horses. The lady here just spoke about horses, and horse abuse, while it's still going on the city streets of New York, but it was truly rampant before the advent of the electric car. And right now, there's a big push in New York City to get all the horses off the streets and replace them all with electric carriages, which I am 100% in favor of. But the law of unintended consequences, there were advocates for horses before cars, and they had some success, but not really. Then the car came along and boom, you can see the pictures from one year to the next when cars were popularized. Do you think alternative proteins is the answer that's really going to change this? Like, there's bioidentical meat. Now, I know that cultured meat is controversial because it does use an animal biopsy. It's not necessarily vegan technically, but obviously it reduces suffering a lot because it's one biopsy on one cow versus killing billions of them every year. But then there's the bioidentical meats, which doesn't even use the biopsy and creates bioidentical meat using the DNA sequencing. There's the microalgae that can grow perfect proteins in ginormous vats the size of stadiums. This is coming down the pike, and it's going to hit us in the next 2 or 3 years. Do you think that's going to be the ultimate game changer, John?
100%. I am so incredibly excited for cultured meat and these new technologies to change the game for animals. In the meantime, of course, us animal advocates should work to try and win hearts and minds, but we can win hearts and minds alongside these technological advances that are going to change the game for animals. And luckily, we need to get non-vegans to go vegan. And the best way to do that is to make it as easy as possible for people to choose compassion. And introducing things like cultured meat, for example, is going to do that. And so I firmly believe that above all else, cultured meat and technological advances in food production, particularly in meat production and meat without animals, is going to be the thing that changes the game and ends up saving the greatest number of animals. I'm very, very excited about it.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. Let me lean over here rudely and grab an Unchained TV hat. Everybody who speaks to the Unchained TV camera gets a hat, but you really deserve one. Will you try it on? Tell me, see how it fits there. Look at that. That looks great. Oh, man, that looks good. John, I want to thank you.
Love it.
You're amazing, and I'm so happy that you stopped by our booth, but also that you're here and for everything you do. You are a game changer because let's face it, we can't talk to everybody one-on-one. There's just too many people in the world. But if we effectively use social media, that is a way to reach people who you can't talk to one-on-one. And that's with 8 billion people on the planet. That's what we have to do. So I want to thank you for stopping by. And let's see if we can get one more person before we wrap it up for today. Who's this lady over here? Miss, come on over. Come on, we selected you. Come on for the animals. Don't be shy for the animals. Come on over. Huh? Come on over and talk to Unchained TV. We're live. Come on, dude. Come on. Oh, come on now. Okay, come on. 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Come on over. Yeah, okay. All right, we are live at the AVA Summit. We're talking to people. Everybody's signing in. Thank you,
Hello.
sir. Sit down. Come on in. And we are live. Tell us who you are and what your purpose is here.
Sure. My name is Haven King Nobles. I'm the executive director of Fish Welfare Initiative, one of the first organizations working to reduce farm fish suffering.
Wow. Well, that's super important because we've got ocean dead zones as a result of overfishing. Of course, we all saw Seaspiracy. That was a game changer. I think it made a lot of people aware of what's happening to our oceans. And so for those who denigrate fish, certainly nobody here, we all know that fish feel, even though we don't hear them scream. And I think that's part of the problem is that, as much as we torture land animals, we can hear their voices.
Yeah.
Where is the whole compassion to seafood movement? I know Anita Krines, who was just on, has been fighting against the octopus farm that they want to put in Spain. Right. Tell us, where do we stand on that?
Well, I don't think we're doing enough as a movement, frankly, as an animal movement. I mean, fish are the largest group of farmed animals. but almost all of our efforts as a movement so far have gone towards terrestrial animals. There's some reasons for that. People empathize easier with farmed terrestrial animals, but if we're ever going to solve the problem of factory farming, we will have to solve fish. We will have to make a humane world for fish as well.
Isn't it true that a lot of fish is fed to farmed animals?
To other fish, in fact. So, for instance, if someone goes to the store and eats a salmon, they buy a salmon at the store. They're not just leading to the death of that one fish; they're leading to the death of roughly 100 smaller fish that are fished from the ocean just to feed to that one salmon.
Oh my God, you're right. I never thought of that. I see. This is why I learn something every time I come to these conferences. I never thought of that. If you think of the food chain, if you kill a big fish, all those other fish died to go into that fish. So the amount, wow, that is heavy. That is really heavy.
Yeah.
So let me just say this. I've been very involved with the fight against aquariums. I've marched Free Lolita in Florida. We've worked very hard to stop the expansion of, there was talk of an expansion of the Santa Monica aquarium, which we've really stood up against. And hopefully that's not going to happen. Where do we stand? Are we like with fish the way we were with land animals 10 years ago?
Maybe 15, 20 even.
Really?
We're far back. We have a lot of catch up to do. We will get there, I believe, as a movement. More and more people care about fish. I mean, everyone here cares deeply about fish. It's not a question of do vegans, do animal rights activists care? It's a question of like, do we know how to help them? And can we motivate the public to care as well? So that's kind of some of the work that we're doing at Fish Welfare Initiative.
Let me ask you, what is the name of your organization? Fish Welfare Initiative. And
correct.
It's a 501c3. So if people want to donate, they can?
Yep, they can.
All right. I just want to say thank you. And
thank you
for everybody who, sorry to reach over there, guys, but we're live. I want to give you this Unchained TV hat for taking the time. I know you're busy. Please try it on and tell me what you think. Oh, you look very handsome.
Yeah, it looks great.
You look good in it. And
thank you so
I'm
much.
Working very hard for fish as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the work you guys do.
Yeah, well, you're great too. Thank you for stopping. I know you're busy.
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
guys.
take care, everyone.
Thank you. Guys, would one of you come over? We're live. We want to talk to people who are arriving and just tell us why you're here, what organization you represent. We are live for Unchained TV. Please sit down. All right. What's your name and what are you doing?
My name is Royce Gomez.
Okay.
I'm with, I have a company called the Vegan Blaze.
Oh, the Vegan Blaze. And what's that about?
Edifying animal rights to the public through a media space.
Okay. Do you sell things? Is it a nonprofit or is it?
It's an LLC.
Okay, so you're actually trying to make money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you sell?
For now, it's just a service through Patreon. It's just doing the work for the animals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you already have a hat on, but I want to give you this cap. Can you take your hat off and put that cap on?
Yeah.
Yo, you got to take your cap off. There you go. All right, my friend. Thank you very much. You look good in it. And I want to get this lady. Will you get that lady in the black over there and ask her to come on over?
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are live here at the AVA Summit. That's the Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit. And we're going to get some folks here. Hey there. Hi, you. Hello. Hey, come on over. The two of you. Come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Come on and sit over here for a second. We're going to have each of you one after the other. We're live on Unchained TV, and we're just getting people who are coming in. So tell us your name, what organization. Thank you for speaking up.
I'm Kirsty.
Okay, just lean in a little bit there.
I'm going to lean in. I'm Kirsty, and I'm from Animal International.
Animal International?
Anima International.
Okay, let's see your passport here. Animal International. Anima International. Okay, this is great because I know a lot of groups. I work with them for years, but this is a new name for me. So lean in and tell us all about it.
But I think you know. So I think I saw you at the CARE conference in Prague.
Yes.
Many years ago, and that was organized by, amongst other people, Otwad Kletki in Poland.
Oh wow. This is very exciting. We've got an international group here. I'm kind of like this is exciting because it's international. Now, where I have been is to the International Animal Rights Conference in Luxembourg. Yes. So tell us about Anima.
So we work in 6 different countries, and we try to focus on campaigns that will be the most effective for the largest number of animals. Am I doing this?
You're great. You're great.
Yeah.
Just speak up. Thank you. And tell us, so what kind of campaigns?
We do a lot of cage-free campaigns, broiler campaigns, plant-based campaigns, political lobbying. Yeah, so a bit of everything, but it depends what makes sense in the country in which we're working, because we have countries like Ukraine, we work there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and we also work in Denmark, for example.
Yes.
In those countries, they need very different interventions.
Yes.
They're at different stages of their, animal advocacy journey.
Yes. So how is it working in the Ukraine? Obviously, the site of a war, a very unfortunate war. It breaks my heart every time I read about it. Oh, I can't even imagine. In fact, I have to just say personally, I had to leave my little dog and my cat to come here. And I have somebody staying who's doing a very good job, but it really is scary because I have a senior cat. But I kept thinking the whole time, a senior dog, not a senior cat so much, a senior dog. I kept thinking, what about these people in the Ukraine who have to flee and they are leaving their companion animals? And what about the animals in the zoos? And what about the animals even in the factory farms and the slaughterhouses? Who's taking care of them? What can you say about that?
Yeah, so it's totally true. And when war, like the full-scale war, kicked off in February, we actually had to evacuate some of our people. We tried to get as many of them who wanted to leave and who could leave out of the country as possible. And that meant we actually had our staff members driving into Ukraine from Poland, filling their car with, volunteers and then animals as well to try and rescue them from the shelters. So that was, so that was intense. And obviously it's just an awful situation. What the Ukrainians are going through is absolutely crazy.
And as winter approaches, all those animals that were left, some people had to leave there just saying, here, go and try to survive. And now it's approaching winter. My gosh. Well, I love what you're doing. I think this is I know this is a global movement. We have people here from Brazil, all over Latin America. This is a very international crowd. I'll probably leave with an accent, a very exotic, undefinable accent. But I just want to say thank you for stopping by. We've got your colleague here coming up next. Now, everybody who talks gets an Unchained TV hat.
Nice.
Can you try it on? Let me tell you what you think. Oh, I like it. It looks good on you. Yes, it does. All right. Thank you so much.
Dan.
Come on down. We've got the next participant here.
I'm
Wasim.
actually not from the same organization at all.
Okay, that's all right. Well, just scooch up and speak up. Thank you, sir.
Cool.
Okay, so tell me your name and what organization.
I'm Wasim Imam, and I work.
You're going to have to speak up, like pretend I'm hard of hearing.
So my name is Wasim Imam, and I run my own consulting business for fish welfare called Ethical Seafood Research.
Ethical Seafood Research, and we were just hearing from another gentleman who was talking about this fish movement.
Haven.
Yeah. So why fish? Because I didn't get a chance to ask him what it was about him. I think we all have connections to certain animals. I love all animals, but sometimes we have a certain thing in our heart for a certain animal. Talking to the camera and tell us why fish.
Well, I can definitely tell you my own story of why fish, but I can't speak for the movement because I think people tend to think of the largest number of animals, the most effective interventions, and so on. But for me personally, the first time I ever worked on a boat sampling fish for the government's program to monitor how fish are doing, I realized how vulnerable fish were in their environment, and that actually compared to land animals or birds, actually you really don't realize just how little options fish have. They can't, if the water is polluted, they really can't go anywhere.
Right.
So
I think you're right. It's like actually Melanie Joy, who's the famed author, was sharing that she started her presentation off by saying, "Oh, we're going to get you next, lady. Hi, we're going to get you next. Come on down. We're going to get you next. We want the next person ready." Thank you. Melanie Joy started out by saying, when I was 4 years old, I murdered someone.
Wow.
That was the opening of her. And I thought, what? And it turned out she was fishing, and she went fishing and she pulled up a fish, and she had a whole freak out and realization that she had just killed a sentient being who wanted to live. And now she's one of the premier, vegan advocates of our time. So I think it's when people deal with fish, don't run away. Come on, stay. 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Right here. We're going to interview you in a minute. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. So, you know, I see people fishing. I live at the beach and I see people fishing and it's like, oh, it's so painful because they don't understand what it's almost like they're blind to the suffering they're causing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, I want to say thank you, and I thank you for everything you do. Here's a hat. I want you to try it on.
Yeah.
Check it out. Check it out. Do we have any more?
Oh,
Oh my
perfect.
gosh. I said we were going to go live till we wrapped up the hats. Well, thank you, sir. I
very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
Pleasure.
my dear, come on down. Come on down. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you. Yes, come on down. We have. You're our last one, but I'm going to sit here. Oh,
Our next activity is going to begin. So
okay. Well, we'll talk in 1 second. What's your name?
Veronica,
Okay, and where are you from?
Mexico.
Okay, Mexico City. Come on.
Yes, Mexico
Okay,
City.
just scooch over real quick here. Okay, why are you here?
We help an organization, Animal Heroes, in Mexico.
Oh,
I don't know if you
Animal
know that.
Heroes.
Yes.
Okay, I have something to ask you. It turns out that I've heard that Mexico City alone has more than 80 vegan restaurants. Is that true?
Yes, there are.
A lot. Okay, a lot of vegan restaurants in Mexico City, and
But
people.
we need more.
We need more. Yes, we always do. So that's very exciting. So this is an organization that works in Mexico
Yes.
called Animal Heroes.
Yes.
And does it work with kids or is it adults?
With adults.
Okay,
Yes,
because
with
there's Animal
adults.
Hero Kids. There's also Animal Hero Kids. It's another group that we know. So that's
But
exciting.
we educate kids also.
Oh, good.
And adults.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is just a sign that this is a global movement, people. I want to thank you. I know you got to go somewhere, but you helped.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure
Bye.
meeting you. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here, unless anybody, because I'm out of hats. You want to come on? You want to come on and tell us about your organization? False modesty is not going to help the animals. That's what I always say. Let's get somebody here to talk. And we've got one more. Why not keep going, right? Yes, sit down.
What's up,
Scooch
Jay?
over.
Nice to see you. I missed you such a long time.
I know, I miss you
Since
too.
last time you were at the
Yeah.
Animal Rights Conference in Luxembourg, I think it was
Yes,
last
Luxembourg.
time.
I think I was
before
voted the
COVID.
loudest person there. People kept coming up to me, please lower your voice. It's like, I love the Europeans because they're so polite and everything is so perfect that I come in like, but anyway, tell us about your organization, Animal Society.
Yeah, so Animal Society is a relatively new organization founded 2 years ago. We are animal rights people, of course, and we are focusing on institutional change, changing laws, but also changing institutions to have animals better representing in the state institutions, for example, in the governments, having a ministry for animals. That's our long-term goal.
Ooh, a ministry for animals. I like that. And is that going to be for the entire European Union, or would that be for individual companies?
So we
Or
also
countries?
support a campaign for an animal welfare commissioner at the European level. So that's one thing. But of course, we also support animal ministry in Germany. This is the next campaign we're gonna start in the
Wow.
next year. But now we do some small steps towards that. It's not only on the state level, not only on the federal level, but you should also have that on the city level, so that animals in the city are represented by people.
Well, I actually like that idea because I will say that they've tried to have like the Animal Rights Party here, and I think Europe is probably a better fit to start that. And I think you can get further because when I've gone to Europe, there are many parties. Like the Green Party is so much bigger in Europe than it is here, right?
Yeah.
So I think that what you're doing is really smart. And then once it gets successful in Europe, hopefully we can bring it over to the United States.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Wow.
So in Germany also, because the Green Party and the Social Democrats are in the government, we'll soon have, hopefully, should happen, they promised it, we'll have a commissioner for animal welfare.
Oh, I love that.
Should
See,
happen in the next year.
these ideas, I hope you get a chance to share that with everybody so that everybody can then take those ideas home. And it's like we all have good ideas, but sometimes we're not communicating. Now at this conference, you can get to present and talk to people about this idea of an animal ministry. I love that idea. I would like to see an agency for animal rights, not just SPCA, but an agency, a federal agency for animal rights, state agencies for animal rights. Absolutely great idea. I owe you a hat. I've run out. I thought I brought enough, but I guess it's a high-class problem that we've interviewed so many people. But I'll catch up with you. Thank you so much.
You can check some more information on the website representing animals.
Here.
You have some publications.
We represent animals. This is wonderful. I love it.
We want to exchange with other organizations or citizens.
Animal Society. I love it. This is wonderful. And you're based in Stuttgart.
Yeah, in Germany. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Jen.
Thank you. And
hi, everyone.
Their booth is right over here, so they're going to be like, oh my God, not her again. No, thank you so much.
Thanks.
The lady with the fabulous earrings. Okay, best earrings of the night. How come you're not wearing your cap? Okay. All right. Oh, we're so excited. Who do we have here, and what's your organization?
Yes,
Thank you for speaking up, and I'm going to scoot you right over here.
Okay, am I talking to this?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I'm Destiny De Jesus. I run a brand called Eat Your Destiny, where I teach people how to eat plant-based on a budget.
Ooh, I love the name Eat Your Destiny.
Yes.
EATYO Destiny.
Yes.
3 words. Eat Your Destiny. I love it. That's exciting. Now, is that a 501c nonprofit or is it an LLC?
No, it's nothing. It's me because I haven't made it anything yet. But yeah, I spend my free time running that brand, and it's just, I'm passionate about teaching people about food accessibility, availability, because we all love animals, but we also all eat, so we need to eat delicious food, and a lot of times things aren't accessible for people. So I just like to teach people, use things that are in your pantry, things that are very cheap, and make, fabulous vegan meals out of
Okay, Tom says, Jane, put her on the team.
Yay.
Yeah. I think you do need your own show on Unchained TV.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, this is it. You'll see this is how we do the shows, and you can do it as well. And now you're based in New York.
I am from New York, but I am based currently in Portland, Oregon, like the vegan capital.
Oh, Portlandia.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a very vegan place.
Very.
And it's interesting because it is challenging. Like somebody told me that live in Portland. Yeah, they're very into vegan, but they're also like, there's a big battle to get people to completely get rid of fur.
Mm-hmm.
That I know somebody who's leading that campaign in Portland. Where is Portland? Is it a leader? Like if you we just talked about Europe. Berlin and London are incredibly vegan cities.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the United States, where is Portland, do you think?
I would say top 5, honestly. It's very vegan friendly. I know there's a lot of different movements happening in Portland. I'm more focused on like the food aspect side of things, but it's, like you can go to any restaurant, vegan or not, and they have like a full vegan menu. It's very accessible for people who want to eat more plants. So
yeah. And you eat healthy, I assume. Yeah. What?
I still eat a lot of, like processed vegan meats and stuff like that, but overall I do eat a pretty well-balanced vegan diet.
Yeah, okay, that's wonderful. Well, I like it. Eat Your Destiny. So you've got that stage presence. I could see you having your own show. What do you think, people? What does everybody think? We're gonna be adding shows. Tom says put her on the team. Yay. Much needed help. Love this. Wow. Okay, and we're gonna get my Boricua. Can you get him? Can you get my friend with the white shirt over there?
Yes.
Thank you, my
Bye,
dear.
everyone.
Bye. Okay, we've got so many people coming in. I want to tell you that this guy, I'm Puerto Rican and Irish, and this guy, come on over. Come on. We're live. Come on, no, one person at a time. Come on, sit down. I already gave you what? Come on, sit down, and we'll take turns. Hey, first you, then this lady. Good. Sit down. Thank you. I want to say, first of all, this fabulous man helped me put this banner up. If it weren't for him, I would not have this banner, okay? Because I can't figure out how to do any of that. So we met in the elevator, and we're both Puerto Rican, Okay, my mother was born on the island of Vieques, and we've both worked very hard for animals in Puerto Rico. I'm very involved with Al Sato Rescue, and also my dear friend Glenn Venezio, who does a lot of rescue. Tell us, why are you here? What do you hope, aside from helping me set up my booth, what do you hope to accomplish?
Trying to create some visibility for Puerto Rico, the entire Caribbean community. So yeah,
now
we exist. We do vegan education there, and we exist. We have a movement starting in there.
Now, Puerto Rico apparently has 2 veg fests, is my understanding. And there is, when I was there years ago, I think the last time I was in Puerto Rico was 2009 for Hispanic Journalists Conference. There were not a lot of vegan options, but I've been told by people, thank you for speaking up, scooch up a little bit and speak up. I've been told that that's changed. Tell us about the vegan options in San Juan and elsewhere.
Oh, we got the first vegan ice cream shop called Mucho Gusto. We have another vegan ice cream shop called Moo. We have another one called Via Lactia that used to be vegan vegetarian, now it's all vegan. We got a bunch. We got we have a Secreto de Bruni is also a great one. Frescura, a bunch of restaurants, a bunch of thriving businesses in Puerto Rico, vegan businesses.
And in Old San Juan, which is one of my favorite places on earth, can you get vegan options?
There are, but most of them are not in Old San Juan, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you so much, my dear. I already gave you a hat. I gave him a hat for helping me with the booth. So why aren't you wearing it? Okay.
I need to grow some more hair.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're going to have your associate come on down now. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. Come on down. Come on down. Sit down. And this is what's so fun about this is that we're live at the AVA Summit. That is the Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit in a hotel, Alexandria Mark Center, right near Washington, D.C. It's really part of Washington, D.C. greater area. And we're talking to leaders in the animal rights community who have come from all over the world. You are from Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Scooch up a little bit. Okay, tell us about, and I've been involved. I had my poor little Rico, who was named Little Rico because he's from Puerto Rico, had come from Al Sato's rescue. He just died recently. And he was the love of my life, Little Rico. But tell us about the situation for animals in Puerto Rico now after this latest hurricane.
Okay, yeah, definitely. That was an issue that we put a lot of emphasis on, Casa Vegana. There were farms where farm animals were left. There was no, disaster plan for the animals, or that included the animals. So a lot of animals were just abandoned and left to themselves. Many drowned because that's what Fiona brought, a lot of rainfall. Stray dogs and cats, you'd find them on the side of the road. It's really sad because it was basically Maria all over again, except Maria was a category 4. Fiona, it developed into a category 1 when it hit Puerto Rico, so it didn't come with the same force, but the same suffering was seen as with Maria.
Oh my gosh.
In
but
terms of the animal.
I know that I did a documentary called The Dogs of Puerto Rico, where we talked to people about spay neuter. And spay neuter has been a big problem because, when I was down there many years ago, the veterinarians in Puerto Rico wanted to do it themselves, and yet they weren't doing it, but they didn't want outside groups to come in and do the spay neuter. Has that changed? Because somebody told me that has changed somewhat, but I may be wrong.
So there was a court case. One of the veterinarians in Puerto Rico, or a group of them, filed a court case saying that, or asking the court to say that the Humane Society of the United States, which was the organization doing the spay-a-thons, could not continue doing the spay-a-thons because the veterinarians weren't licensed by the Colegio, by the Veterinary Association. So recently, the Veterinary Association was declared non-obligatory. So you did not have to pertain to the association in order to practice in order to give veterinary services in Puerto Rico. So that has changed somewhat. Whether you can go in without a license and practice, that would still be something that
is the spay neuter situation improving?
It's improving somewhat.
that's
yeah,
good.
It's
Yeah.
improving.
Yeah.
But still, like the spayathon was not allowed.
Oh, that's too bad.
But it's a step in the right direction, and definitely there's more awareness. It's improving. People are becoming more conscious about it. People realize the necessity of it.
Wow, well, you're doing amazing work, and I understand. I would love to go to Puerto Rico for a veg fest. There are two, apparently, right?
The one that I know about is in April.
Oh, okay.
So April 2023.
April 2023, Puerto Rico. Where in Puerto Rico?
Roya Isabela.
Okay, how far is that from San Juan?
Oh, that's about 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
It's on the other side of the island.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's on the west coast. So it'll be a trip, but it'll be pretty.
Oh,
It'll be a nice
yeah.
trip.
I would love it. Thank you so much for everything you do. What's the name of your organization again?
So Casa Vegana de la Comunidad.
Casa Vegana de la Comunidad. Now, I just want to ask you, because I'm really curious about this. There are vegan restaurants, but your colleague was saying that they're not so much in Old San Juan, which is like my favorite part of Puerto Rico, is to go to Old San Juan and those great old Spanish, the castle, the Fortaleza, and all the beautiful restaurants. But are they getting veganized? Because that's a major tourist attraction.
There are restaurants there with vegan options. As far as I know, there's no vegan-only restaurant or vegetarian-only restaurant, but there are restaurants there with vegan and vegetarian options.
But there are vegan restaurants outside of Old San Juan.
Yeah, Santurce. I live in Isla Verde. There are restaurants there.
Wow.
Miramay.
Wow.
San Juan, Guaynabo. Yeah, definitely. They're popping up all over. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you. And I will get you a hat. I ran out, which is a good sign. And so thank you. Bye-bye. Now we've got these two lovely ladies here. Better food. Come on. Will you talk to me for a minute? Come on. Oh, yay. Come on down. It'll take a minute. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? We're talking to folks. Yes, appreciate it. Pop on down. All right. Well, we can't. We got to do one after the other.
All right.
Okay. So, hello. We are live here at the Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit, AVA Summit. We're in the DC area at the Alexandria Hilton Mark Center. Hundreds of people are coming in, and everybody's setting up their booths. These two lovely ladies are our neighbors. I'm here with the Unchained TV booth. Tell us about your booth. Tell us what your organization is and what you do.
Thank you. Well, I am Jennifer Shannon, and I'm with the Better Food Foundation. And we are here to let people know about our work. We're here to hire folks. We've got some positions that are open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what does the Better Food Foundation do?
So our vision is a world where plant-based food is the norm. Our work is all about finding ways to make plant-based food the center of our food culture rather than the fringe, which is how most people think about it. And so we incubate strategies to do that. Our biggest program right now is about default. So we work with communities and institutions, any place that serves food, and we help them switch their default so that plant-based foods are the normal thing they serve and not the exception.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. And that is happening. I mean, sometimes there are those the restaurants and especially the juice bars in LA. You walk in and they don't say vegan, but then you realize, wow, it's vegan. There's nothing here that has animal products, and they don't even know they're vegan restaurant because let's face it, it's the healthiest. So what the old-fashioned health food store is sort of given way to these juice bars that really, if they have occasionally they'll have something which I find, even to look at, bone broth, but a lot of them are almost entirely vegan. And so it's very interesting to help people make that transition. Sometimes I think the word vegan might scare some people, and I don't care about a word. I mean, if the word vegan was never uttered again, that would be fine for me as long as people stopped eating animals and their byproducts. Where do you stand on that, plant-based versus vegan?
I mean, honestly, we're more about the results than the language. But the world that I'd love to see is one where people walk into a restaurant, any restaurant, and instead of seeing labels on the menu or on the signs that have like a V for vegetarian or vegan, instead they have an M for meat or a D for dairy. And so folks just know that if something has animal products in it, That's the thing that requires a special label. And we can assume that the normal foods that are served won't have animal products in them.
You know, some of my favorite vegan restaurants don't say the word vegan. If you look very closely, you might find it. Like there is a restaurant on Montana Avenue in Santa Monica called Margot's. It was previously not vegan. It went vegan. It's still very popular. Everything's vegan, but they just don't really stress the word. You have to really hunt and peck for that word to find it in small print, and they're packed. They're packed. Do you think that's a good strategy because I think they did that very purposely. They wanted to go vegan, but they didn't want to lose their clientele that they had from their pre-vegan days. So they just changed their menu without advertising that they are vegan.
In their case, it's probably a great strategy and a radical one too, because when folks show up and they see the menu and they order the food off of it, it still sends them a message. Folks are still getting the impression, oh, okay, this all vegan food, like this is high class or this is popular. They're not getting sent the message anymore that that's just kind of the healthy option on the side.
Yeah. So where are we as a movement? There's been so much talk about this tipping point, which I don't think is a singular event. I think this is a process, and I will say it's very hard to see progress in real time. And sometimes, you know, you get a smack in the head and you go, have we even improved at all? You know, I went to a friend's birthday party who was not vegan, and it was at a hotel in LA, and it was like, I felt like I was back in like the 70s with the wait staff giving me a hard time, serving me last, sauteing the vegetables in some meatiness on the grill that I couldn't eat them. And then I was like, whoa, it was a wake-up call in a bad way. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in the vegan bubble, and then when I get out of the vegan bubble, it's like I get hit upside the head. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think you're right that there are multiple tipping points. It depends on which food culture you're located in.
Yes.
But we're trying to speed up our progress towards those tipping points because it does feel like we're making progress towards that, even if it's happening faster in some places than others.
Yeah, well, I love what you do. Tell us the name of your organization again.
We're the Better Food Foundation.
I've heard of it. I'm so excited to be your neighbor here at the AVA Summit. And you have an associate who wants to come down, and I would love to talk to you. And I've met Maura before. Thank you so much. Okay, yes. And I'll bring you guys some hats. I brought about 40 hats, and I've already given most of them away. I'm like, why didn't I bring more? Come on down. Yes. Thank you, my dear.
Hi.
Okay. And you're also with the Better Food Foundation.
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Hi. How are you? We're live, and we're just letting everybody vicariously and virtually experience this summit. The people are coming in. The registration is happening right now. Why is it important? Let me ask you, why do you think it's important to have these kinds of summits?
I think it's really important to just get us all together in a room and realize the power that we have when we collaborate and work together, and even see what other groups are doing. Sometimes, you know, we're off in our own little bubbles working together, and then we kind of come together and converge and realize all the progress that's happening. And, you know, just some examples of that, like Jennifer was talking about with our work to change the default, we kind of see so many examples of that, of changing norms that are being, that are happening and unfolding in the world around us, that other groups are driving, grassroots groups, companies are doing it on their own. You know, there's a vegan music festival now that's just default vegan, but it's like a music
Where's
festival.
that? I want to go.
Maryland, I think.
Oh
they
my
just recently
God.
had that. And
oh my God.
and now coffee chains are you know, starting to default to oat milk. That's actually the sticker that I've got here.
Oh, default to oat milk. Yeah.
Oat milk by default.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of this is spontaneously happening, and at other times it's advocates all around the world who are working on these things, and we have no idea until we all come together and realize the collective power that we have.
I like it. Now, are you a global organization? Because this is a we've met people from Brazil, we've met people from Germany, we've met people from all over the world. Yes, Stuttgart over there. Yes. So how do you get a grasp on the entire globe? I mean, we only eat Americans as much as we eat a lot of meat, unfortunately, but we're still only eating a small percentage of the total meat consumption. Where does that play in?
That's a good question. So one of the recent initiatives that we've taken on is really working at the municipal level, the cities and counties around the world, because we see them as, leaders who have a responsibility to kind of model a sustainable food system. And through coalitions that we're now working with, we're seeing globally that communities around the world are like sparking change in their leaders and getting their leaders to commit to shifting norms. We just had a big victory in New York City where the hospital system, it has embraced vegan defaults for their lunches, but it's really, it's starting to happen all over the world. We, work together with the Plant-Based Treaty, and they've gotten endorsements all over the world. They just got LA to endorse their work. And I think we're all just kind of building something, but to have those representatives in communities in other countries, because Better Food Foundation right now, we're just in the US, but, making those connections around the world, we can kind of see that momentum start changing, and the fact that these counties and cities are kind of shifting the way toward establishing a new plant-based paradigm is really powerful.
Yes, I spoke along with many other people in favor of having the LA City Council endorse the Plant-Based Treaty.
Amazing. See, we don't even know about these things.
Yeah, and it was really tough because it was a very contentious hearing for a number of very intense political reasons. And so in order to speak, we had to keep calling and calling and calling to try to be the first to speak, because there were hundreds of people lined up to speak. I was happy to say I was about the sixth person to speak. And I was really trying to be strategic about calling, because it would keep you on for about 10 minutes, then disconnect you before the meeting. So I said, okay, I'm gonna call about 4 minutes before the start of the meeting. That'll carry me over to the start of the meeting. And it seemed to be a strategy that worked. I got to speak for a couple of minutes, and I was very, very excited to do so. And it was unanimous. It passed unanimously, the Plant-Based Treaty. That's the second biggest city in the United States. And it's also arguably, aside from New York, the most influential city. And so now you have major cities. New York City Mayor Adams, who's plant-based, getting the schools to go vegan on Fridays, and the hospitals to use vegan meals as a default. And now you have LA passing the Plant-Based Treaty. Whoa. Those are huge developments.
And we've even seen like Amsterdam, this was several years ago, but they passed a plant-based default policy in their city council in 2019, I believe. So yeah, there's really a global momentum that's happening. And Canadian activists have also been really instrumental in some of these new victories that are coming up.
I would like to see a move for hotels. I have to tell you, I need to have a cup of coffee. If that makes me a bad person, well, so be it. But I do use actually a coffee company that I met 4 years ago at the last animal rights conference that gives a percentage of their profits to animal sanctuaries. Nonetheless, I have to have some soy milk, right? So I'm in the airport in LAX. I can't find any soy milk. They have these little, I'm like, what the hell? And then I get here, it's too late. So I was then, in the lobby, do they have the soy? Yes, we did get some soy milk and it ran out. But what I'm trying to say, I guess my point is, hotels are not the most forward. There is a big gap. Hotels and airports. I would like to see a campaign focused on these major hotel chains. Please, Hilton, you've done a nice job here. I'm not knocking you. I'm saying every time I go into a hotel, it's the same situation. Every time I go into an airport, it's the same situation. Where are the vegan options? Do you have campaigns that are targeted at those kinds of institutions like hotels and airports?
Yeah, so the interesting thing with our strategy, vegan defaults, it can really be implemented anywhere that food is served. You can adapt it to be able to just set plant-based meals as a default, or in coffee settings, set oat milk, soy milk, whatever as a default. And then people have to opt in if they want dairy milk, and it works anywhere. And it's amazing. We've started working with big companies. We are working with governments, institutions like schools. That's been really popular. And we also are actively recruiting volunteers and ambassadors who can kind of use this concept and bring it to their communities. So if they're really passionate about hotels or organizing in schools or wherever they really, are really active, this concept works really well and can just be embedded into all their existing strategies and really used in a powerful way. So I'd love to see a hotel, campaign be spawned by, using these kinds of ideas and defaulting to soy milk in the lobby and all of those kinds of things. Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, I want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
sorry I ran out of hats, but I'll bring you one tomorrow.
You can
I've
keep
only
our
got
little stickers
Oh,
if you'd
thank
like
you.
to.
I like your stickers. They're
Thank you.
wonderful. Oat milk by default. Okay, so I have one last question. Of course, you know James Cromwell recently glued his hand right to a counter at Starbucks protesting their upcharge for plant-based milks. And it makes no sense because they claim to be a progressive company. We know the National Institutes of Health itself says 65% of the population minimum is lactose intolerant. So that means they're allergic to dairy products, particularly the global majority. Dairy lactose intolerance is dominant. So where do you stand on this whole Starbucks thing?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to recognize your role in vegan food at Starbucks. I know that's a campaign that you worked with Animal Outlook
Yes,
a lot
yes.
on, which I used to be with them as well.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, Starbucks has made a lot of movement on the vegan food front, which is amazing. And that's kind of like the next frontier is the milks. And you see companies all across the world, even like Starbucks in Shanghai has already done this, where they have a kind of like pilot going of default vegan milk instead of the dairy milk by default, and we just need to really see it grow throughout the world and bigger chains. And but Blue Bottle is another great example where they're doing it too. And I definitely think that upcharge is like a really big barrier that we've got to get past. So there are a lot of groups working on that, and that's super important to kind of get that upcharge removed, because that's a barrier to making the vegan milk the default.
Okay, so one last question, because this is now sort of swept Europe, where young people with some organizations, I don't want to name the wrong organization, so I won't name them, but they're going into places, department stores, and pouring cow's milk, the breast milk of cows, on the floor. What's your take on that? Don't want to put you on the spot.
Actually, I think I just saw an article about that yesterday, maybe. So I don't know if it
you've
just
had a chance
happened.
to process it.
Yeah. But I think that those kinds of tactics can be really useful for like drawing attention when other things haven't worked. And every group has kind of their own role in the movement, and our role is really trying to tap into like, how do we affect norms, how do we make an idea like that often in the past has kind of been seen as extreme or fringe, but like really help people to realize that plant-based foods and plant-based milk is so healthy and so normal, and like it really can just be this central thing at every gathering, at everywhere that you have food. And so that's really the role that we take on, and I congratulate the folks who kind of take on a different type of tactic, and we're all kind of working together to bring attention to these issues for sure.
Alfred Hogan says, thank you so much for covering the AVA Summit in such detail. Hope you can interview science educator Serena Farb. Yes, I love her. I've interviewed her before. She was born vegan, and she's organizing the vegan climate marches in the U.S. for May 2023. We're going to look for her. Thank you, Alfred. A lot of people would like to be here, and they can't. We've got a comment about the last hotel I stayed in didn't know what vegan food was. The manager did find me later, though, to ask what it meant. I know that I really feel hotels, when I feel most let's say, when I get the reality check the most harshly is generally when I travel. And then it's usually airports and hotels that are the big, because you can always use a Happy Cow app to find a vegan restaurant, but it's in that travel where you can't necessarily get to the vegan restaurant that you just get hit with this. Why? I mean, I had to scour LAX to try to find something that was vegan. There used to be a Real Food Daily there, but it closed down during the pandemic, and the restaurant that replaced it is not vegan. They had one vegan salad that I had to find. It was like frustrating. It's frustrating. So I hope we can do a campaign for hotels and airports soon. And I want to thank you for taking the time.
Yeah,
I really appreciate all your work. Better Food Foundation is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So let's see. I'm going to stop when we run out of people. We've got hundreds of people. They're slowly mingling in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies, come on over. Come on over. We're live. We want to talk to you. Why? False modesty doesn't help the animals. Come on. Come on over. If you love animals. Oh, wait a second. You. Okay, we've got a surprise guest, somebody who honestly has been making national news. Yes, and she's not necessarily happy about that. Come on over here. Okay, we are live. Oh my God, Lady Freethinker. No, you first. You have to come first. We're just gonna do quick. Sit down quick. We are live here with the DXC has been in the news. I mean, Elmira, you have hit it out of the park. You are like, okay. You've hit it out of the park because we've got breaking news. We had the plant-based treaty passed by the LA City Council, but Unchained TV was honored to go live for more than 16 hours just about a week ago, covering the trial of Wayne Shung and Paul Picklesheimer. Elmira Tanner from DXC helped us. Tell us a little bit about how monumental the not guilty on all counts verdict is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a really big surprise for anybody who knew what was going on in this case. The odds were really stacked against us. Should I look up here?
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
The odds were really stacked against us. We weren't able to talk to the jury about a lot of the things that we saw inside the farm. So I think people kind of thought, you know, we were all very prepared for Paul and Wayne to go to prison, and they didn't. The jury was unanimous on all counts, not guilty. And this was a jury that was drawn from a county where 75% of the voters voted for Donald Trump in the last election. So it's not like they are the most progressive, maybe, group of people, but I think that the jurors were very serious, took this case really seriously, really looked at the issues. And it's been really cool because now Paul and Wayne have been able to talk to 3 of the jurors out of the 8 so far. They've reached out after, and this case made a significant impact on them. They are really looking into the food system and all of that from just being on a jury in this very, very bizarre case.
And I want to say it's a good sign of working together because we were live, but the way we were able to get the exciting footage, as opposed to, we had good talking heads. We had Lisa Bloom, famed attorney. We had Marina Bolotnikova of The Intercept, who's an incredible writer. But we work with DXC. They showed us what was happening outside court. That's how we were able to have the moment where the not guilty verdicts came in and everybody outside screamed. And then Wayne came out and talked to us on camera. It really made me feel like for the first time, this is the vegan CNN. And right here. So I want to thank you because you helped us while we helped you. It was just that kind of synergy that kind of happens. And also, go ahead.
One cool fact is, I don't know if Mick told you, but one of the jurors who was trying to reach out to us after, he made a Twitter account just to find us. And the only thing that he has on his Twitter account is a retweet of your live stream, the verdict watch. So that was cool.
I'm excited. And then I just have to say, don't go anywhere, Nina Jackal. We want to talk to you. But I just have to say, what was just a bonus icing on the cake is I do have a subscription to the New York Times. And I went on the New York Times and I was like, oh my God, Wayne Shung wrote an editorial. And it was a beautiful editorial in the New York Times. Making the New York Times is a big deal. And of course I commented and I was like, I got a little carried away. I was like, anybody? Well, no, I didn't get carried away. But I basically was like, the New York Times should have been covering this every single day. You know, we're doing this because it's not getting the kind of coverage it deserves, but it was huge to get that final home run to get in the New York Times. So I want to thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for your
DXC. All right, thank you. You're amazing. You are absolutely amazing. I've got an Unchained TV hat for you, but it's upstairs because I ran out. I ran out.
Terrible on hats,
No.
So that's probably
all right.
Okay.
Now another one of my favorite people.
I'll trade spots.
Oh my God! Thank you.
What is this, by the way? Thank you.
Oh, amazing! Weren't they amazing?
I mean, really.
Absolutely amazing. So thank
That's
you.
incredible.
Not everybody can get on a plane and come to this DXC conference, and we are bringing it to them. The amazing Nina Jackal, Lady Freethinker. Okay.
It's so good to see you here.
It's so good to see you. We're kind of neighbors. We live in the same part of town in LA. And so we're bringing the conference to people as they come in. We're going to be going live every day till we've interviewed every single person at this conference. Well, quite a few. So tell us, you have an incredible organization. Your petitions are super effective. You've got great writing. Tell us about Lady Freethinker.
Well, thank you, Jane. So Lady Freethinker works to get the word out about animal issues. We work to expose the suffering that happens every day, but that people might not otherwise know about. We publish daily news articles. We publish petitions. We do undercover investigations. In fact, we just had an undercover investigation about elephants in Thailand suffering for the tourist industry come out in the Daily Mail today. So wow. So we're really just working hard to get these issues exposed and reveal this cruelty that people are really horrified by when they actually see it, but often don't understand that it even exists before we show it.
You know, I want to say, and it's one of my most shameful moments, and I've got quite a few, but this one seriously. I rode an elephant in India with my mother. I didn't know any better. It was like 20, almost 30 years ago. I thought, oh, I love elephants, like a typical idiot. Okay. And I've been trying to clean up that wreckage by focusing on elephants. We have on Unchained TV, we have a documentary series called The Elephant Matrix that shows how elephants in India are being persecuted and also what you can do to save them. But it's so Orwellian. It's like these people think because they love elephants, let's ride them. And that was my mentality before I woke up. How do we change that?
Yeah, I mean, that was my mentality too as a child. It seems like an amazing thing to do. Elephants are these beautiful, majestic animals and they're huge. So how does it hurt them, right?
Yeah.
But it actually does hurt them because they have to be broken or crushed, they say, in order to become submissive and allow people to ride on their backs all day or perform tricks or whatever it is that the people profiting from them are having them do. What we found out, which I'd actually never even heard of, is that what they're doing now, because everyone is sort of aware of the bull hook, you know, those horrible hooks on a stick they jab the elephants with. So now, to be more secretive about the cruelty, they actually have nails hidden in their hands.
Oh,
and
no.
And they're stabbing the elephants with the
Oh,
nails to
no.
control them. No, it's
Oh, no.
horrible, and it's hidden.
Oh,
So
no.
it's something that people really do need to be aware of. And you know, the people who go to these tourist venues, they're just like me and you. They think, I love elephants. I mean, what an amazing experience to get to ride one, right?
Right.
But the truth is a lot uglier than it seems, and that's why we need to get the word out and keep exposing it. And the more people become educated about the reality behind these tourist venues, the more they're going to stop going, and then these places just won't exist. So
yeah. And I will say to anybody who did ride an elephant or a camel or any of that, you know, you can clean up that wreckage. You can donate to one of these organizations like Lady Freethinker. And it's kind of funny because I give her a little donation every month and she gives me a little donation. We kind of cancel each other out. But it's that you can not just regret the past, but seek to use that experience to make this world a better place. And so if you've ever ridden an animal or swum with the dolphins or any of that terrible stuff, which we shouldn't do, leave them alone. You can help by becoming an animal activist yourself if you aren't already. So tell us, how do you do it? Because you cover particularly gruesome issues all the time, and yet you seem like a happy person. How we just did a whole session about it's similar to PTSD. It's called secondary trauma syndrome.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
Secondary trauma, vicarious trauma, it's sometimes called. The way that I personally deal with it is by working every day to stop what I'm seeing. That's the fire. Otherwise, it's not tolerable. And I think that's why a lot of people just don't really want to look, because they feel helpless. They feel like this is a big problem. What can I do? And it does feel overwhelming to see suffering, the suffering of things that you love. But when you're taking action, even if it's a small action, like eating a veggie burger or signing a petition, you're doing something about it. And that changes your mentality and it makes you stronger and more able to take it. And also I exercise. I think without exercise, I would not
that's
be...
where I went wrong.
Yeah, well, well, I need it. Everybody has different ways of coping with things. If I don't exercise every day and get that, get the blood pumping, get the adrenaline pumping, then I start to feel down.
Yeah,
that's kind of my therapy.
Well, I have a hat for you. I brought about 40 of them. I ran out already because we've been going live for almost 2 hours. Come on, Come on. I want to say you're my hero. You were incredible.
You are my hero.
No, you.
No,
It's so great to have you here. Thank you for sitting down, and I will bring you a hat when I see you tomorrow.
All right, looking forward to
thanks.
it. Thank
Nina
you.
Jackal, lady free thinker in the house. Come on over. Lakshmi, right?
Lakshmi, yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Lakshmi.
Okay, and we've known each other. I've seen you at these various events, and you are an incredible activist, but tell everybody about what you do.
I'm Lakshmi, and I've been in the animal welfare movement for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
In India. And I used to work till very recently with this organization called Humane Society International.
Yes.
In their India office. And now I am studying public policy in the US at Yale.
Oh, at Yale. Wow. Well, that's very impressive. I'm very excited to be hanging out. And I want to say that it's so exciting to meet so many people doing so many different things. And it's really hard to keep up because, as you've noticed, if you've been watching this live video, everybody's doing something a little bit different, but it's all coming together. So I know that there's a huge animal rights movement right now in India, for example, the land of Ahimsa. I'm one of the executive producers of that. I donated to that film because I think it's so important. Dolly, my friend, is the person who put that together, which basically raises the issue, India is known as an animal loving place where animals are treated with kindness because there's a sense of that it's a vegetarian society to a large extent. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yet there is cruelty going on, and it's not to single out India. There's tremendous cruelty here in the United States. We might be a little better at hiding it sometimes. Go ahead, tackle that one.
So definitely India has a higher vegetarian population relative to many other countries. We have about 30% of vegetarians. However, the vegetarianism in India is quite tied to religion and culture and caste. And meat is also seen as an aspirational food product. So as a larger number of Indians move into the middle class, as their incomes increase, their likelihood to want to eat meat, dairy, and eggs actually increases. So we are seeing a shift in that direction, unfortunately, which makes the need for activists in this space even greater.
Wow. And of course, I did a documentary on Dr. Sailesh Rao, who is Indian, but he basically is really working to create a vegan world by 2026. If you want to watch the documentary, it is available for free on Unchained TV. It's called Countdown to Year Zero. And Dr. Rao, who I personally think is a genius, says we have to switch to a vegan society, culturally shift by 2026 to avoid a climate apocalypse. So where are we? It's almost 2023. I'm getting a little nervous.
I think we're a good while away from that. But I do agree that it has to be a cultural shift in that direction before it can be an economic shift. Like industry will shift and industry will provide the alternatives where they see consumer demand and where they see profits. But unless like a mass cultural shift away from animal protein also accompanies that, it's unlikely that we'll see sustainable change in the world.
So let me ask you this last question, because being in this space, talking to people all the time, and interviewing not just nonprofit groups, which are doing important work, but also companies. There's a company called Paleo out of Belgium that is creating bioidentical meat strictly from animal products, copying the DNA sequencing. And the guy told me, a scientist, he said, we can make something that looks like pork, tastes like pork, looks like lamb, looks like, none of that's appealing to me, but that's what people want. And it doesn't even involve an animal biopsy. And then, of course, there is cultured meat, which, of course, would reduce animal suffering a lot, but does involve a biopsy. So some people are not in favor of it. As far as I'm concerned, whatever reduces the most suffering. And then there's things like microalgae, that there's a company in Israel that's brewing microalgae. They've finally gotten rid of the bitter taste, and they say they can brew a perfect protein like in giant vats the size of a football field. When is that, do you think, going to be part of the shift? Because I personally am starting to think that's the key.
So it is already happening to a certain extent. Like, I mean, of course, you see, plant-based companies like Beyond and Impossible have become pretty mainstream in the US in a way that I have not yet seen in India. So I would already say that that's been a significant shift in the past few years. And we're hopeful that as more and more products and companies come into this space with more innovative products that taste better, more likely that, more alike as their counterparts, and as prices come down and as accessibility increases, we're hopeful that more people will shift. Those people who have been already looking to eat healthy a few more times a week, or are interested in climate risk mitigation, things like that. That's the crowd that will also be interested in eating these products.
Yes, and apparently there's millions and millions of dollars going into these alternative food products. Food tech is what they're calling it. So I want to thank you for stopping and talking to us. Tell us the name of your organization again.
Humane Society International.
Wow.
But I'm no longer there. I was there for like 3 months back. Yeah.
Okay, but now you're just at Yale. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you so
very,
much.
very
Thank
excited
you.
that you stopped and
Thank you.
excited about your work.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. So many interesting people. Okay, we have been on for almost 2 hours now, and I'm just looking around. People are just packing. Their dinner is being served. So I want you to know that we are going to be live every day at this conference. We want to talk to all these people. We know that not everybody can get into a plane or a car or a train and come here, but we want you to be able to experience it too. So we got a hardwire, which means we can go live, because it's really hard to go live at these hotels when everybody's got their Wi-Fi on. You know how it is. So we've gone the extra mile to bring you the people who are at this conference doing such important work to speak for voiceless animals. And I wish every single person could get an Unchained TV hat. In fact, we're thinking of doing one piece of merch. I try to avoid merch because I think, just printing more stuff up is not a solution. However, people keep asking me for these hats. They're in demand. Everybody wants one. So we might end up doing this as our merch down the road. But I want to thank you for joining us. Unchained TV, I'll just show you what else I got, because I want to be able to have people remember and download Unchained TV. So see that little QR code there? While I talk for a second, if you put your phone on this, you can go right to Unchained TV and you can download the app. It's an app that's available on your phone, all right, absolutely free. You don't even have to give your email. All you have to do is go to your app store and you just, right here, I'll just say, there it is, Unchained TV. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of videos, okay, music videos, and causes and talk shows and cooking shows and reality shows like Pig Little Lies, our reality show. There's tons of stuff here. And again, we're also now starting live. So that's how we're going to really become the vegan CNN, is to do live programming like I'm doing now. And we're going to have people get their own shows. There were some people who we interviewed that we feel should have their own show if they wanted, because it is a lot of work. But I got to tell you that we plan on having like a whole schedule of shows, just like the major networks do. By the way, those major networks are spending billions of dollars. I think NBC is spending $2 billion on its network this year and $5 billion down the road, something like that. They're all spending billions of dollars, the major networks. We're doing it for tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. And that's because we have an almost all volunteer organization. And so essentially people are volunteering to put together videos, to give us their documentaries, their music videos, their cooking shows. And so we're using the priceless content. If you are somebody in the vegan movement and you have a high quality vegan cooking show or a vegan themed music video or a documentary, we would like to hear from you. So you could just go to info@unchainedtv.com, info@unchainedtv.com. And we send you a release, basically says you own the video, you're responsible for it legally. We just stream it and promote it, and you can show it anywhere else you want. We're not about exclusivity. except in rare cases when we've produced something ourselves for a couple of months, we want it to be exclusive, but generally we just want to get the word out. That's the whole point. And so streaming is the future of television. People are cutting their cable cords, or they never had a cable cord. So what we're doing is creating this network where people who have streaming devices like an Apple TV or a Roku device or an Amazon Fire Stick, you may have one at home, you just put it in. If you use those devices, you can put Unchained TV and it will pop up, and it's 100% free. So free is the number one search term of streaming device users. And that's why we are offering all of this for free, because we want to wake up the world. The truth is that, sometimes we are in an echo chamber and we're talking to each other. Thank you, Tina. I'm glad you've had fun watching this. It is fun to be here, and I'm very honored and happy that I can bring you some of the stuff happening here. But we want to burst through the echo chamber and get out to all those people who really desperately need this information. Maybe they've got heart disease. Maybe they're suffering from obesity. Maybe they're suffering from cancer. I'm not saying every cancer is connected to diet, but we do know that processed meat, which is how a lot of people eat a lot of their meat, is officially a carcinogen, according to the World Health Organization. So by getting this information out to people, we can save lives. We can also reduce human world hunger. Right now, there are children dying of hunger in Somalia, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and other places. And our government is subsidizing the most inefficient food source. Whether you can quibble about the numbers. Does it take 2 or 8 or 25 pounds of grain to create 1 pound of meat? It's still an inefficient food source. If we fed that grain directly to kids, okay, we could prevent them from dying of malnutrition and hunger. 80% of the soy is fed to farmed animals. There's something really wrong with that. And the antibiotic resistance. The list goes on and on. So please join us, get involved. We really want to grow this movement, and we want to burst through the vegan bubble. So thank you for joining us, and join us again tomorrow. We'll be back with more from the AVA Summit, the Animal Vegan Advocacy Summit here in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm Jay Velez Mitchell for Unchained TV. Download it today.